Hey guys, welcome to our channel Splendid Light and our program The Joy of Walking with the Law. The topic under scrutiny today is not the law, but that why did the law come before Jesus Christ? And I'm so excited about today's message, so let's get started. In Galatians chapter 3, we see our good friend and the great apostle Paul share the contrast between law and faith, and he traces it all the way back to its origin from Abraham's story. And this is a gist of what he says. God made a promise to Abraham because God was so pleased with Abraham's faith and unwavering trust in him. And the promise was that through Abraham, God will bless all of mankind. And Jesus Christ, who came through the bloodline of Abraham, fulfilled this promise by taking the cross upon himself so that every man who puts his trust in him will be saved. So now here we can see that the promise came through Abraham's faith in God and is fulfilled through our faith in Jesus. So why then did the law come in between? And Paul goes on to answer this in verse 19, that the law was added to show man his own wrongdoing. And in verses 23 and 24 he explains, before the time for faith came, the law acted as a tutor to bring man to Christ. So it is these 2 points we are going to focus on today. Why the law was added and why did it have to come before the promise of Jesus Christ? You may say the answer is already on the table. Well, yeah, but today's message is going to throw a completely fresh perspective on these answers. In Eden Garden, when man decided that he did not need God anymore and ate the forbidden fruit, God still did not leave man. God in all his wisdom knew that man cannot have life without him. And even though man now has the knowledge of what is good and what is evil, he still needs God to help him do what is right. Man cannot choose good and do what is right all by himself just because he now knows what is right and what is wrong. So the law that came through Moses was intended to help man understand that man on his own cannot fulfill God's laws and put himself right with God. Even to put himself right with God, man needs God. And man had to come to the light of this truth that his pride and the value that he puts on his own efforts cannot help him move forward from the place where he fell in the Garden of Eden. If at all man wants to move forward from that place, man needs God. So the purpose of the law was not to prove man's worth to God, but that God gave man a chance to satisfy his need to prove himself right to God. And in order to enter back into God's presence, man had to deal away with the pride that caused him to leave his presence. The same pride that caused man to leave God's presence cannot help him to enter back into God's presence. The same pride that causes man to put his trust on his own ways cannot help him to enter back into God's presence. So before receiving the free gift of salvation through Jesus Christ, man had to come to the understanding that he cannot earn it with his own mind. So that when salvation did show up, man would abandon all his proud ways and would run straight back into God's arms just like he used to in the Garden of Eden, thereby realizing that it was he who left God's side and God did not leave him all the while. God had been waiting for man's return in the same place where man abandoned him. That's why the law came first through Moses and then grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. So quoting back Galatians 3:19, the law was added to show man his own wrongdoing. That is, the law was added to show man his own proud and sinful nature. And quoting verses 23 and 24, Before the time for faith came, the law acted as a guardian to bring man to Christ. That is, before the time for faith came, the law acted as a guardian, bringing man to the realization and acknowledgement of his own helplessness, thereby leading him to Christ. We all know that God so loved the world that He was pleased to give His only Son for the sake of mankind. He was pleased to punish His own Son to redeem mankind. And like Jesus Christ, the law too was an act of God's unfailing love towards mankind, in which God put first man's desire to put his pride to the test, even before God's own desire to bring His plans and purposes through His Son Jesus Christ. Hey guys, I hope this message speaks volumes to you about God's love for you. And I hope it also helps you see how all that seems and looks like the truth is not really the truth. The truth, in fact, is a much bigger picture than we can ever imagine, and that God's intentions towards us are always good, and He always does everything out of His love for us. Please to share this message with all your friends and your family, and to know more and more about God, do subscribe to our channel Splendid Light. Have a good day.